Hi, this is Deb Disney. I'm a psychotherapist working at Methodist College in Peoria, and this is video 3 for mindfulness meditation. The first video we talked about the benefits of mindfulness. The second was how to meditate, and in this one we're going to talk about misconceptions, myths, and these misconceptions and myths are a summary from the book entitled 10% Happier. It was written by Dan Harris, who is the weekend co-host of the show Good Morning America. Years ago, when he was reporting news live on the Today Show, he had a moment where he froze and he couldn't think of what he wanted to say. And then he said some nonsense gibberish, and they immediately moved the camera back to the stunned anchors. He says that he immediately started looking for something that would help him to tame the voice in his head and to reduce his stress. And he found mindfulness meditation. And now that he's practiced it for years, he's written this book. It's a very entertaining and easy read. And at the end, he debunks some of the misconceptions and myths associated with mindfulness meditation. So I've summarized that here. So what might be some reasons why people might avoid meditating? We've heard what all the benefits are. The neuroscience is very clear that it's helpful, and yet people still avoid doing it. So why is that? Well, the first myth that he talks about is people say, I just don't have time. But the benefit can be found in just 5 minutes a day. And I know that it's very tempting to stay in bed for an extra 5 minutes of sleep, especially if you have only had 6 hours. But the benefit that is gained by those 5 minutes, 5 more minutes of sleep versus 5 minutes of meditating, much more benefit in spending the 5 minutes in meditating. I can't remember now who it was that said this. It was an internationally known figure, and someone asked him, how long do you meditate? He said, well, on the days that I have the time, I meditate for 1 hour. And the days that I don't have the time, I meditate for 2 hours. And his message was pretty clear. He found it so helpful that it made him even more productive if he took the time to actually meditate. And I can personally say that is very true. On the days that I meditate, the rest of my day, I'm so much more focused, so much more calm, so much more able to do the tasks of a busy day in a very peaceful way. So another reason that people might choose not to meditate is because they have the misconception that meditation is only for hippies, gurus, or fans of Inya. So Dan Harris says that meditation can be for everyone, that he himself was a skeptic who considered himself to be allergic to all things touchy-feely. So meditation is being used in Fortune 500 companies with executives. It's being used in Congress in Washington, D.C. It's being used by scientists. Even Marines are embracing the practice as an exercise for the brain. A third myth that Dan mentions is people will say, I can't meditate, my mind is too busy. And Dan says, the good news and the bad news is you're not that special. Everybody's mind is out of control. Even people who have been meditating for years struggle with distraction. And a myth is that you have to clear your mind to meditate. Actually, you're simply becoming aware of your thoughts and learning to engage with your thoughts in a different way. And Dan says that this fourth myth was actually one that worried him, thinking that getting happier would make him lose his edge as a hard-hitting journalist. But he reports, and I can say this for myself as well, being a fairly ambitious striving sort of person, goal-setting sort of person, you'll likely still be that way. But meditation can help you realize that certain outcomes are out of your control. Like I said in the first video, it helps you to realize what part of daily life is inevitable suffering and what part are we choosing optional suffering. So it's normal to be angry, but then if you start being angry that you're angry, you start having a feeling about the feeling, you start drowning in the drama, then that's optional suffering. So meditation simply helps you to realize that certain outcomes are out of our control. So perhaps you didn't get the promotion that you wanted at work, and it's natural to feel sad about that, but then you don't need to feel sad about feeling sad. You can just recognize certain outcomes are out of our control. And the final myth that we'll address, some people will say that they don't want to meditate because they believe that it's against their religion. There is some controversy around this issue. Dr. Albert Mohler, head of the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, has criticized both yoga and meditation because they have their roots in Eastern spirituality, and so he assumes that they then are not good for Christians. And yet there are other devout Christians that point out that meditation has been a part of the mystical traditions of all the great faiths. In Christianity, you can look up centered prayer, and it's very similar. Most of the major religions have something that is like meditation. So mindfulness meditation has been around for centuries. It does have its roots in Buddhism, but Jon Kabat-Zinn secularized the tool to make it available to people of any religion, and he calls it mindfulness-based stress reduction. It really is simply mental hygiene, a mental gym to help quiet the voice of the ego that plays in the head. I think it was Wayne Dyer who said that to him, ego stood for edging God out. And so mindfulness meditation for him helped him to have less ego and to feel closer to God. So mindfulness is really hitting the mainstream recently. So if you go to YouTube or Google and type in mindfulness, you will probably find hundreds, if not thousands, of hits. But these are some of my favorite resources. I really do recommend the 10% Happier book by Dan Harris if you're wanting to know more. Any book by Jon Kabat-Zinn. His mindfulness-based stress reduction is based at, I think it's the University of Massachusetts. And it's fairly expensive, but one of his students created an online version. And then there's also a mindful breathing exercise at Richard Davidson's website, thecenterforhealthyminds.org. And if you're more of an app sort of person, here are 3 apps I have on my phone. I actually use Insight Timer every day. I'm not as familiar with Zen Friend or Bodhi Timer, but I have friends who've used those and like them very well. Insight Timer has a free version and a paid version. I've got the free version. It has everything on it that I could possibly want. There's just a timer with no background noise, or you can select some background noise. I think the paid version, you have more variety of background noises. And then there are some free guided meditations on there as well, for a variety of lengths, anywhere from a couple of minutes up to 20 minutes or more. So also, if you would like to know more, I would be very happy to talk with you. Here's my contact information. It's one of my favorite topics on the planet, actually, so I'd be very happy to talk with you if you'd like to know more information. It has changed my life, and I don't say that flippantly. There was my life prior to 2001 and my life since 2001 when I started using mindfulness meditation. And as a psychotherapist, if somebody got onto an elevator with me and they said, you know what, we're just going up 2 floors in the next 30 seconds, tell me what will make my life better, I would say mindfulness meditation. Hands down, mindfulness meditation. If everybody practiced mindfulness meditation, I would be out of a job. I sincerely believe that. It is so helpful for taming the thoughts that can create distress and for helping us to choose behavior that's more in line with our values, helping us to be more compassionate and kind and loving to ourselves and to the people around us. Thank you so much for listening.